Yeah, can you be quiet? It's about to start, but thank you. Okay. Hey, everyone. Well, not everyone. This just started, and there's anyone here. Um, but for those watching in post, this is the Survivor August wrap up. This is my first time doing a live stream, and it has been a process, to say the least. I didn't know that I had to validate it for an hour before it would start streaming, and then it did start streaming. Sorry. I had to wait for a whole day for it to start streaming. My gosh, lost my train of thought there. And then it finally opened like 5 minutes later than I thought it would. Then it said it won't work on Safari. So I had to download Chrome, go through all that, and then I forgot my password. So it has been a process. Not big on technology, so this whole process has been a big learning curve for me, which is one of the things I have gotten out of this. My mom just commented, "I'm here with you." Thanks, Mom. Love you. Let's see if I can make this bigger at all. I guess not. That's fine. Alrighty. So I'm going to wait a little while before I start going into everything, just to let a few more people write in. I don't know if I can edit this afterwards. Probably not. We'll figure it out. Whew. So once this goes, if you have any questions that you would like to ask me, feel free to put them in my chat. That way I can get to them. I have a few prepared, and yesterday I ran through a few questions with some people. So hopefully that should be good. Wow, I just got a YouTube notification that says Surviving August is now live, and you can't read that because of the glare. But that's pretty fun. And yes, I am subscribed, a loyal subscriber. Always want how to watch the videos because I've seen them. Alrighty, well, I'm going to start getting into it, and I'm glad you were able to get the notification, Mom. This was my biggest fear, that it would just end up being me and my mom, which so far has been the case. So that's pretty exciting. Yesterday, though, when I did the Instagram live stream, there were a couple people there, and they asked me some good questions that I have, and we'll go with. It's not your fault, Mom. But thanks for saying sorry. Anyway, let's. I'll just get right into it, and then if people watch later, hopefully CBS watches this at some point. That'd be great. And if you are from CBS and you're trying to cast me, please cast me. That'd be awesome. And I hope you enjoy, and I hope you have enjoyed the whole process. So, first, thanks, Mom. Alrighty, so let's go into the questions. So, why did I do it? It's a good question. Question I found myself asking myself quite a bit throughout the challenge. But I love the show Survivor. I remember watching it with my mom when I was little, and just really waiting for the day that I could do it. And I'm old enough, I kind of have my life under me, and I figured, well, not my life under me, but older now and have a little more skills. So I figured, let's try to be on it. So I sent an application, and I was looking up what's the next process, because they're obviously going to choose me. So what's the next line of this process? And it was interview, phone interview. And one of the things that it said was, how have you lived your life similar to that on Survivor? And unfortunately, I haven't had to vote anyone out of my life or anything like that. I've never lived on an island for 39 days or any kind of extreme camping like that. So I figure, well, what can I do from now until when they would call me? And I figured I could live my life as similar as I could to that on Survivor, and that way I can use that as an example. I can survive 39 days with barely eating anything. I can, survive sleeping outdoors and just basically on a thin mat. Basically, I could survive being on the show, because I know one of the things that they probably worry about is casting someone who just ends up giving up, and that will not be me. So this was kind of just my thing to put me ahead of everyone else. All the other hundreds of thousands of people they're interviewing, I don't know how many people they interview, but however many people they interview, I am able to say that I've done this and I am committed. For 39 days, I have altered my life pretty severely so I can be on the show. So how was the challenge? There are parts of it that were a lot of fun, and there are parts of it that I will remember for a long time, and parts I'm really proud about. Also parts that were rough, parts that were hard, that I'm glad it's over. And I'll kind of go into a little bit more depth later. Overall, it was something I'm glad I did, and especially if this goes any farther in the interview process, or if you're watching this in several years from now and I'm super famous for winning Survivor, then it'll definitely be worth it. But I think just in general, I'm glad I did this. It was fun. And, I got a lot out of it. So a question that I'm sure you're all wondering is, did I really do it? Did I ever cheat? Are there things that I did that I shouldn't have done? And I'm going to tell you, yes, I did do it. But, that's just my word, and I could be lying to you. Which, cheating and lying about cheating for your own, benefit is almost the most Survivor-esque thing one could do. So if, I did cheat, or if I did do the whole challenge, either way, it shows that I am prepared for Survivor. So any way you kind of look at it. Another thing that I was kind of thinking of is what I did harder than what the show would be. And no, come on, that seems like a lot harder. But there were elements that I think might have been a little tougher than certain elements on the show. Obviously on the show, they don't have any AC. They can't get away from bugs. They can't get away from the rain, really. They're not able to communicate with their families and friends. Now, granted, this whole pandemic has made things a little weirder for me, so it's been a little more difficult on that front. But I can always call my parents or call my grandparents, my parent, and my friends. I have television, I have books, other kinds of forms of entertainment that they don't have on the island, or wherever they are. They're not always on islands. I was able to keep up my hygiene. Like brushing my teeth, taking showers. Obviously, they're not able to do that unless they win a reward. There's also the psychological challenges that they have, the constant paranoia, the feelings of just hopelessness, loneliness, that they can't really talk to anyone because whatever they say, whatever they do, could be used against them. And just being in front of a camera 24/7, having anything you do be able to be posted on national television or international television, that's tough. And those are all things that I didn't have to deal with in my challenge that they would. With that being said, there were elements of what I did that I think would be harder than on Survivor. For one, I had to have a lot of discipline. I couldn't, on Survivor, if they have food, they can eat it. There's a social cost of eating food that maybe wasn't supposed to be for you, but for the most part, they can eat whatever they see. Now, granted, they don't see a lot of food, but for me, I could walk to the kitchen. I walked past McDonald's, Bojangles, Wendy's, all on my 3-mile walk that I would do several times. So, and I could obviously drive to any drive-through or any kind of food area. I would be sitting with people who are eating Five Guys or eating all bunch of foods that looked great and I could smell, and just not being able to eat it. So that took a lot of discipline from me that they don't really have on the show, which was tough. What else? oh, I still had to go to work and I still had to go to school. I had a life that I still had to live while doing this challenge. On the show, that's their life. The show is their life for those 39 days. For me, I still had other things that I had to do. So finding the time and being fatigued, being tired, being hungry, all of that I had to live my life as though I wasn't doing this. So that was a challenge. Additionally, I had to come up with ideas for the exercise, for the cardio, for the challenges, and any other kind of skits or anything else I would put in. And I had to edit it all, which, no one on Survivor is a producer or an editor. So that's a challenge that I had that, they wouldn't have on the show. And one of the things that I've grown the most is learning how to edit or learning, different skills through this whole process that I'll take with me. But I'll get into that a little more later. Another question that I, have thought of is, well, one, would I do this again? And if so, how would I do it differently? And ideally, I would like season 2 of Srurviving August to actually be on Survivor. So if you're from CBS, this is probably just coming off really desperate right about now, which I'm kind of hoping for the irony, but also kind of the desperation. But would I just do this again? I feel like I wouldn't do this again unless my life changed enough to where I felt like I could be adding more, higher production quality, maybe actually having a yard that I could build a little hut in that I could sleep in, like a little shelter, have some more elaborate challenges, that kind of stuff. I would want to be adding more. If I were to just do this next year, like there are certainly some things that I could change. I could get a more defined schedule and have some more ideas as to things I could do. And I'm not ruling it out, but I kind of feel like I want my life to change a little more and be able to present a higher quality if I were going to do this again. Someone's playing guitar in the room over there. Hope that's not picking up. All right, and let's see. There's a question in the chat, by the way. For anyone new who joined, feel free to post your questions. I'm more than happy to answer them. So what was your biggest surprise? Honestly, how I wasn't as hungry as I thought it would be. I was really thinking I was constantly going to be hungry and constantly like really weak from being hungry. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I don't know if that's because I had some fat that I could burn, and it wasn't just going like I had something to. My gosh, I had fat that I could burn. I guess I'm rambling here. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. The first couple days were a little rough, but then it kind of got to a point where I was constantly kind of hungry, but I wasn't like constantly wanting to eat food, if that makes sense. Like I wanted to eat, like I knew that I should eat, but it wasn't ever like I would do anything to eat right now, which I thought was a little surprising. I thought I would want to eat all the time. And how little being hungry, I guess, affected me. Like I was fatigued, sure, and I was hungry, no doubt, but I was still able to live my life. I was still able to exercise, go on these walks, which was surprising. So I feel like the food aspect of Survivor I could manage. Because I mean, there were days where I was eating like 2/5 of a cup of rice or an egg or a banana. Like there were several days where that's all I ate. And I mean, if that's what I'm doing, I could survive on a cup of rice. If we had beans, I could survive on a little bit of beans. So that's a good question. So what was the, kind of going off that, what was the effect on my life and effect on others is the question I was thinking about. I mean, I wasn't able to go out and eat with people, and so my social life definitely took a hit on that front. And when I would go out to eat with people or just go out and do a challenge or whatever it was, I would have to, take a couple minutes, sometimes up to 15, 20 minutes and film something, which I didn't like personally. I didn't like having to film my life and stop what I was doing or specifically cater things to Survivor or Srurviving August. I know there are a lot of times where it felt like all that was all I was doing. And I didn't really care about being with my friends or whatever it was. And that definitely took a hit on both myself and my relationships with others. And it was very stressful, having to plan everything out, having to edit, trying to find the time to do all that. Just in addition to actually not being able to eat, which definitely altered my, emotions at times, and being fatigued. So it definitely took a toll on me, on my mental health, and on like my physical health, obviously. Let's see what else is here. Oh, Butterball was sad sometimes because he liked being, he's a pretty sociable cat, and just being me be sleeping outside with a glass wall in between us, he wasn't too happy about. But and those are the main things I can think of. Obviously, very prohibitive on my daily life as well. Just kind of as I mentioned earlier. All right. So, what would you continue to do that you started during this time? That's a great question. One of them, and I think this is where my mom was trying to lead to, is working out more on a consistent basis, doing more exercises, going on more walks. Is something I definitely look forward to. Maybe not doing it as structured as I was doing it there, but still definitely continuing that. Maybe not, the extent to which I did it, but definitely I want to keep that forward. Additionally, and I was going to do this anyway, but watching Survivor, I started doing that obviously before, and rewatched a lot of stuff for this, and I continue to watch it so I can just learn more strategies, and not only how other people have approached the game, but how the producers, their strategies, things that they tend to do. Obviously, there's a lot of, they want to switch it up a lot of times. They don't want to become stale. They don't want to be predictable. But there are certain elements that you can kind of predict. So watching a lot of the seasons, kind of getting a sense of, just having a good idea what's going to happen or what to look for. I also would love to continue reading more. Obviously, I have the How to Win Friends and Influence People and Jeff Probst's book, and I have a whole little section on my bookshelf. See right there. It's all Survivor books. I've got some other philosophy books that I want to read. So I plan to keep that going forward. Let's see, here's some more of the questions from the Instagram live stream yesterday. How has this altered me? And this kind of goes to what things I've learned and ways this challenge has changed me. But how has this altered me? Again, going off the working out, I want to continue doing that. It's altered my look on the game and some of the challenges of the game, and kind of how I thought some things would be harder than other things. Physically, it's altered me quite a bit. I lost, it was 26, 28 pounds through this challenge for 39 days. I know there was a point where I nearly lost a pound a day, which was kind of crazy. So from a physical standpoint, it altered me quite a bit. Another question I got was how has the coronavirus and the pandemic affected this challenge? And honestly, I don't really think it has affected it too much. The one thing I can think of is that I wasn't able to have as much of a social life because of the coronavirus, which honestly would have made it more applicable to Survivor. So if anything, it might have actually benefited me. Additionally, I had some jobs that I was planning to do that fell through, so I had more time initially to work on the challenge. So I guess it kind of helped me in a way. But I don't think that there was anything I wanted to do that I was prevented from doing. Additionally, my apartment complex has a gym, and we would have to schedule times for the gym. So every time I worked out, I was the only one in the gym. So it enabled me to be able to talk and have my show going on without having earbuds or feeling really awkward that I'm just talking out loud about Survivor to the camera. So yeah, I think it benefited. I don't really see any ways that it was detrimental to this challenge. So hopefully if I do this again, there'll be another pandemic. Obviously, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. I hope that there isn't a pandemic, and I hope this wraps up quickly if that wasn't clear. A question that I like kind of a lot is, what were people's reactions when I would tell them what I was doing and why I was planning to do this? It was definitely a weird thing to tell people. I know I started working and they would ask me, hey, do you want, we're going to pick up lunch. Do you want X? Do you want Y? Or they'll bring in food. And I had to just explain, why I didn't want anything or why I wasn't going to eat it. And I know one person was like, I couldn't last a day not eating chocolate, which I thought was kind of funny. But yeah, everyone I've told has been kind of like, whoa, that's crazy. I wouldn't do that. And I'm hoping that no one else would do this, and this would be a selling point to CVS. So if you're watching, gosh, I need to stop digging at that. Please. Another question that I've gotten. Oh, thanks. That was pretty awful. Was what was my? I guess you asked me. No, what was my favorite part of this challenge? There were a couple things that I really liked. I liked doing the actual challenges. That was pretty fun. Also did a few skits that were kind of cute. I know the one on the beach, when we went to the beach, kind of walking along the beach, talking about the news. That was a pretty fun thing to do. And just some of the challenges were a lot of fun. Additionally, so obviously I watched a lot of Survivor, and I would pause relatively frequently to talk about, talk about strategy, talk about why people should make this move, or why I think they're wrong for thinking these ways, or that move is terrible, this is why I think it's terrible, or even just generic trends of, no, you gotta keep your line strong in the beginning. You can't vote out your strongest players initially. But I would talk about that all the time before I started this channel. And I think I was, it was a little odd for me to just be talking out loud at, 12:30. It's kind of that crazy person. I felt like a crazy person. So one of the great things about this is that I was able to have someone to talk to about this. So I wasn't crazy, because I really do have so many ideas of strategy. And I mean, I'm not the only person that think this, I'm sure. But I really do believe that strategically I am very much prepared. And I am cautiously optimistic that I would do well in the strategic aspect of the game, as well as the physical, for that matter. Okay, so this one is a Tessa question. A lot of these have been Tessa questions as well. She had a lot of good questions for me. But she wanted me to talk about the whole barfing story. Well, I guess stories, because there were a couple times I barfed during this challenge. The first one was on the second Friday. So this is 2 weeks, day 14, which was the food reward. And we went to a Japanese buffet. And it was a really good buffet. It was Hokkaido's in Harrisonburg. Very good food. And I had some steak. Really like that, and I think I was just trying to swallow a bit too fast, get into my belly as quick as I can, and I didn't chew at all. And instead of going like this and standing up like, oh, I'm choking, I just kind of made like a weird face. Luckily, she understood what that meant and was able to give me the Heimlich. And something that was crazy, I thought, going off of television, it's a couple pumps and the food shoots across the room. That was not my experience with the Heimlich. It was a pretty long process, and it kind of came out and then reached in to pull what I could out, but there's still a little bit left in there. And then one of the employees at this place took my hand and shoved it down my throat so I would vomit, and I did, and it helped. So I am grateful for that lady for doing that. But then there's just vomit all over the table. So I went to the bathroom to clean up, because obviously I hope I don't need to explain that. And then I came back out, and there was, the waiter asked me, do you want to, get this to go? Do you want to move to another table? What do you want to do? And, this is good food. I'm hungry. I'm like, let's just go to a different table. And it was just in eye shot of the vomit. And I had to watch him clean it up. And it was very awkward. I felt so bad for this guy who had to clean it up while I was just sitting there, just continue eating. And I made a point to chew the food from that point forward. So pretty funny story. And then there was the jalapeno, which, my goodness, I'm embarrassed that jalapeno made me that like hot, and yeah, not my proudest moment. Let's see, we got another question in the chat. Oh, what would you? Okay, no, that's sorry, that was an old question. Let's see here. Okay, and then this is kind of going off of earlier point that I made. Someone asked me about certain strategies that I would have in the game, and I don't want to divulge too many of my strategies, just because if I do become really famous and people look me up later, I don't want them knowing my secrets. But one of my main strategies, and just kind of going over the basics, initially when you're in the first couple days, first couple tribals, you want to keep the strongest people best in challenges. I think that's got to be priority number one, because you want to get to the merge with a majority. Got a burp there. Pardon me. So you want to have the most people. So you can't be losing immunity challenges. Oh my gosh. Sorry about that. So you can't be losing challenges. So you need to have the strongest people best in challenges that there is. And those aren't necessarily conflated, because you can be good in puzzles, be good at untying knots, be a good swimmer. That doesn't necessarily have to do with strength or athleticism. But in general, you want to keep your people who are best in challenges, so you don't lose. I don't need to hit this point anymore. You all are smart. You understand. Additionally, people talk about trust, and that is certainly something that you need. You need people who you can trust. So that plays a role. I don't think it's as important initially as having strong people, but that is definitely an important factor. And then kind of later on, when you're making your alliance and kind of looking farther down the line, you want to find someone who you do trust a lot, and someone who is the Robin to your Batman. Because when you're at the end, you want a Robin, you want a sidekick next to you, someone who went along with what you decided. You can't, because in that case, they're going to vote for Batman. They're not going to vote for Robin. So you want the people around you who you feel like aren't going to get the votes towards the end, and those are the people you want to align with. So those are kind of just in general some of the things I'm thinking about. Again, I don't want to go into too much depth as to my personal strategies at this point. Alrighty. All right, another good question that I have is, did I ever think about giving up? And I alluded to this a little earlier. It definitely crossed my mind, why am I doing this? I don't know if it's necessarily giving up that crossed my mind, but it was more of, does this even matter? I'm going through this whole thing. I'm eating rice and beans. My schedule's going crazy. I'm doing all these things. Is it worth it? It's not like I'm on the show having a chance to win $1 million. I am in my apartment posting this to YouTube for like 20 some subscribers. So, the hopes is that someone from CBS is watching and they see this and they're impressed, one, just by me, but also by my eagerness, my ability, my dedication to do this. And that's at the end what kind of pushed me to do this, is that hopefully, I linked my Instagram in my application, and my Instagram bio has a link to this channel. So I'm hoping that, they like me enough to look into me and then look into all of this and all the dedication that I put into it. Because I'm kind of looking at this as an extended application, is that, I am ready for Survivor. Like, you should put me on, and this is the reason why I'm likable, I care about this game, I'm smart, I'm dedicated, and I will win. So that's what got me through it. There were times where it was really hard to see that odds are no one is going to look at this from CBS. Odds are this isn't going to mean anything. But just the hope was able to get me through. And I hope similar hope will get me through the show if I'm on it. Just knowing that it will all be worth it. So I didn't really think about giving up per se, but I definitely had the questions of, is this worth it? Alrighty. So another fun question is, what would I do with the if I won? Um, and the as Jeff Bagwell, no, not Jeff Bagwell, shoot, Jeff Kent on Survivor said it's $600,000, not a million. So what would I do with the $600,000? Um, Obviously, since my mom is in the chat, I plan on taking her on a vacation because I love you, mommy. um, I also, would probably like to get maybe like a new car, or maybe probably invest it, and then and down the future buy a house when that's kind of more of where my life would be at. Uh, and giving it to charities. I know a few good ones. Cancer for one, cancer research. I've been personally affected by cancer by a lot of my family members. Having had cancer is obviously very meaningful to me. I know maybe some other charities, like I was in the FCA program, and that was an amazing experience, getting to go down to the Dominican Republic and just be able to help out kids there, help out charities, orphanages and villages down there. Is an amazing experience. Additionally, I did this other charity that we built homes out in Nicaragua, and I forget the name of that. So, Mom, if you don't mind putting that in the chat. So doing that was an amazing experience for me, and I'd love for that to be an amazing experience for someone else who maybe isn't able to afford it, or just helping the constructors. That's not the word. The people who build the houses who are from Nicaragua, helping them out as well. All right, so kind of going back to the strategies question, what kind of player would I want to align myself with? And I kind of alluded this to earlier, is that I want someone who I can trust, and someone who is a sidekick, so to speak. Someone who I can openly discuss strategy with, because I like to talk things out. I like to discuss them with people, and having someone there who I feel like I can trust with that, and not feel like they're going to turn everything on me, would be huge. That's why doing a blood versus water season they have a certain advantage in that they have that, or if they make it to the merge, they have that person. So having someone who can, maybe not to that point of like a family member or a loved one, but having someone who I can trust would be big. And having someone who, at the end, if they're sitting next to me, aren't going to take any votes from me. And again, in the earlier parts, I want to have people who are stronger, or good challenge players, so that we can win both rewards and immunity. I would love to win some rewards over there as well. Another question that I got is what would I be like on the show? For one, I've thought of certain moves. I thought about telling people that I had like a little sister that I would like care for, and that we're really close, and using her, one, to get a little sympathy, but also to say if I ever needed to swear on someone's life. It's a little bit of Johnny Fair play over here. So I could swear on someone's life who never actually existed. But the biggest problem is I don't know if I could keep up a lie for 24 hours for 39 days. I just, I worry that I would get caught in it. So I think I just have to be who I am for the most part. Obviously tweak certain elements of who I am. I like to think I'm a pretty nice person. And in this show, you have to be cutthroat. You have to lie. You have to be manipulative. And I certainly do think that there are elements of me that are like that. Not my proudest, characteristics, but there are definitely parts of me that can be those things. But I think I have to be who I am for the most part. And who I am specifically. Initially, I probably will play it safe for the first couple of days, kind of get a feel of my tribe, feel of who the characters I'm around, get a sense of the people, the dynamics, and then kind of take it from there a little bit. And if you know me, I'm not a shy person. Once I'm comfortable somewhere, which usually doesn't take me very long. I'm a pretty funny guy, I like to say, and I think, I have to be who I am. And I think who I am works pretty well in this game. So that's pretty good. Alrighty, so, okay, Bridges to Community is the place that we would build homes down in Nicaragua. Thank you, Mother. And the Masons are the people who work on the buildings down there. I am seeing your posts. All right, so which family member would you take? All right, that's a good question, because oftentimes they have family members who come down there and who help with challenges. Sometimes they help like in a challenge. I'm leaning towards, at least if it's the first time, my mom, yes, saying me. Most of the challenges that they have, they don't play that physical of a role. And my mom loved the show. So having her being there would be a pretty amazing experience. And I'm not just saying that because she was the first person on the stream and because she's been an amazing mother. But yeah, I think I would love to have her out there. It would mean a lot. Tessa also would be someone who I'm definitely strongly considering as well. She's definitely more physically fit than my mom is. No offense, Mom. And it would be great to have her there too and share that experience with her. But hopefully, if I'm there for a second time, I can take her. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Alrighty. A question Tessa asked me is, would I mess with Jeff Probst? And definitely, if that wasn't clear. The season I just finished was just San Juan del Sur, Blood versus Water. One of the guys there was messing with Jeff about his cameo in 2.5 Men, which is great. And I don't know exactly how I'd mess with him. Maybe pull a Johnny Fairplay and show up in my Jeff Probst attire. But in some kind of way, I would love to. Maybe throw out the fact that, let me get it, that I bought and have been reading his book, Stranded by Jeff Probst. And I'm wearing shorts because I didn't think I would be standing up. But yeah, maybe mention the fact, like throw out his main character's name or some plot detail would be kind of funny. Give him a nice plug. Additionally, what I've heard, tribal councils last a long time. So there's bound to be some way that comes up. How do you feel about the lack of hygiene? I wrote hi and then the name Gene because I didn't know how to spell hygiene. That's probably not something I wanted to admit on the internet. But how would I feel about the lack of hygiene on the island? I don't think I would be as affected as a lot of people are. I don't love showers and brushing my teeth and general hygiene. I definitely do take showers and brush my teeth. Don't question that. My mom is saying so sad. I'm sorry, Mom. But I don't think it would affect me as much. Obviously, again, I still do those things. I don't stink. I'm not smelly, hopefully. But it would definitely be rough, especially since they're outside 24/7, sweating out in the sun, running in dirt, getting in the ocean, not being able to shower afterwards would suck. I know after going in the pool, my hair was all, stiff and whatnot. And I had to take a couple showers using, pool shampoo to just feel normal. So I imagine it would be rough, but something I think I can manage. Again, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. And then a question that I also liked is, what would I do with my hair and just my facial hair and head hair before? I want to kind of keep it a little long, just because I like having the ability to do fun things with it. I think that's something that I kind of like on the show. So I braided it a couple times and, put hair bands in that or something. I'll do some fun stuff. And I think that's a bit of a selling point as James as a character on the show that I want to keep up. Facial hair is an interesting question. So I haven't shaved since, I shaved it all September 31st. And this is what it looks like on July 31st. And this is what it looks like on September 9th. I don't like how long the neared is. And I do not like the way my face looks shaven. So I think I would have it short, but not completely clean shaven top, but then shave the neared, because I really don't want it to be any longer than this. But I really don't mind the top part being a little long. I don't know if it's just the masks that make it really weird and just very uncomfortable, but that's probably what I'm thinking. So another question is, how many steps or how many miles did I walk? And I've done all the calculations for the 39 days, and I've walked 278,673 steps, which, if you average it out for the 39 days, is 7,145 steps a day, which is a pretty good amount, I would think. And then I walked a total of 142.227 miles, which is 3.648 miles a day. I think it's pretty good. I think, oh, I have another question that I skipped. That reminds me. Is how I would do things differently. Actually, I did think I mentioned this. This is one of my problems with the whole live stream format is I've been talking for over 40 minutes, and it just feels like I'm rambling a bunch, which I'm sure I am. But one thing I would do differently is set a more defined schedule. So that probably would have included a little more walks, like shorter walks a day, trying to get those steps up a little more. I'm not sure how much they walked. It was really hard to get any kind of statistics on that. Because I know they're getting like firewood and collecting water, but that's what you see, and I'm sure there's a lot of points where they're just laying around conserving their energy. So I think having a little more schedule would have helped me with that, and having time where I would have read more and watched the show more would have been good. Having a more defined schedule and like sleep schedule as well would have been things I would have liked to have changed if I were doing this again. My mom is telling me I'm doing okay. I appreciate that, Mom. Oh gosh. Alrighty. It wasn't as bad wearing a buff all the time. One thing I liked about it too was at night, I was able to like put it over my face, which kept it a lot darker, which was nice. I think the ways I would wear it would be, I'm going to get the other one because it's already pre-rolled. The main ways I'm thinking, obviously, are the headband kind of way, like this, or kind of like a wristband kind of thing, like such. Now, the Survivor one is actually a little bigger, so I could manage to do one of these guys, which I've seen a few times. I think Boston Rob started it, which isn't bad. I might do this as well. I was thinking about wearing it like a shirt, but I think I'm a little too wide. But I have lost 26 pounds, which is just crazy. To lose 26 pounds in 39 days is insane. Probably not healthy. Definitely not healthy. Alrighty, so that's all the questions I have already written down. And unless, do you all have any questions? Let me just ask again. Something that I was thinking about as well is, what kind of player do I see myself being if I were to compare myself to anyone? And I would have to say, I think the player I'm most close with, like, that I would be closest to, would probably be James August. He's just a cool guy, and I like kind of the way he thinks. All that's just to say that I plan to be my own person. I'm not trying to be the next Boston Rob or the next Russell or the next Aussie. I'm trying to be James. I'm trying to be myself. I think that there's certain players I might have some similarities to, but to be honest, I haven't ever seen anyone in the game and been like, that's me. That's who I would be. I mean, there's certain, as I said, there's certain aspects that I do think are similar, but I think that I would bring something completely new to this game. I mean, I respect Boston Rob to the fullest. I mean, I have his book that I've been reading, Boston Rob rule book, a lot of cool stuff there. Nice plug for him. And I think he's the best player that I've ever seen in Survivor, but I don't think I could do what he does. I think he's very unique, and that's the whole thing. I have to do who I am, and I believe that who I am is good enough to win Survivor. So I have to be who I am. Although I could be poverty. I'm pretty sure I could use my raw beauty to get ahead. So maybe. I'm just kidding. Alrighty. Well, I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now, and I'm not seeing any further questions in the chat unless I'm missing anything. So I guess I'm gonna wrap this up. Alrighty. Well, I hope I get cast too, Mom. Oh, I think someone wants to say goodbye. He doesn't want to say goodbye, but I'm going to force him to say goodbye anyway. Oh, shoot. Sorry. Bye. He's not happy. Bye. Oh, I'm sorry, Butterball. I didn't mean to do you like that. I love you, buddy. Oh, I haven't cooked yet. Ending with the classic James wave. I am sure I want to end.